This is one of the most unfortunate stories you would ever hear of a 50-year-old businesswoman who has everything going well for her, well-to-do, successful, has her own place, has her own finances, and one day she thought to hire a security man to protect her and her properties because again, she lived alone. And in barely 2 weeks, in just 2 weeks, this security man ended up killing her. Now, this story happened back in 2016 in VGC area of Lekki Aja, Lagos, where it was said 50-year-old Maybel Umba Okafor, a notable businesswoman, was brutally murdered at her home by the security man she had hired to protect her. And the thing is, did the security man plan it all along, or was he sent by a family member of this woman? And that's not all. He even claimed that it was a spirit that took over his body and led him to do what he did. Maybel was a successful businesswoman who worked in the foreign exchange business and managed a bureau de change operation. Some sources said that she was a manager at a popular Nigerian commercial bank. Two things could be true at the same time. It was said she owned a home in VGC area, that is Victoria Garden City area of Aja, and she lived alone in the VGC estate. Although it was mentioned she had tenants living in the smaller houses in the same compound, Miss Maybel lived a quiet life, mostly went to work and mostly went to church. And aside those two, she would come back home and mind her business. Now, we don't know if she was married before or if she had children. It's unclear. I didn't get those details to this story. The only person that we know who lived with her around this period was the said gate man, a 22-year-old boy named Tanko Abdulatif. Before Tanko, it's unclear who lived with her. I guess that was just mostly her living by herself. However, somewhere around the beginning of August of 2016, she employed this Tanko Abdulatif to be a security man. His job description is to just open the gate for her whenever she drives from work or comes back, and also look after the property and just be in charge of the house. Just do what a security man does. What else? What do security people do? But the only thing that was odd with this story is that when his salary was discussed, it was agreed that she would pay him 18,000 naira a month. Now, my first thought was, is 18,000 naira not too small? But then I remember that this was 2016. So if I remember correctly, 18K would have still been small. But we hear that he gets other benefits and he also gets to live rent-free, I guess. I don't know what that means. However, that was what was agreed. 18,000 naira a month. Fortunately, he did not even stay a month to get that money. And I guess maybe he wasn't happy with the money and knew that it would not be sustainable. So it's unclear what his response or reaction would have been, but we are made to believe he took it and was hoping maybe it would increase. Now, although it's not stated if Maybel was ever married or had children, she had relatives who could be kids or sisters or relatives in general, basically. And a lot of her extended family lived in different parts of Nigeria, but they maintained contact with her by phone. Now, on the day of the incident, 17th August 2016, it was said that Maybel was inside her house while Tanko was carrying out some kind of walk around the compound. Now, somewhere along the line, Maybel called Tanko into the house to come meet her and gave him some instructions regarding some flowers that was planted around the compound. She wanted it trimmed a type of way and wanted it, watered or something. And when Tanko came into the house and Maybel was telling him about the flowers, Tanko was actually with a knife. It did not seem odd to Maybel because he was using the knife to do something before she called him in. So when he was talking with Tanko, giving him the instruction on how to go about the flowers, that was when the devil, the spirits, jumped on him and he pounced on her, stabbing her multiple times on her stomach. From giving someone an instruction about a flower, and that was how she just got murdered. But she did not go down without dropping a hint. It was said that she screamed Tanko's name so loudly that the neighbors heard it. And the neighbors were, putting on their thinking cap. They most likely may have saved her, if I'm wrong or not. The thing is, When they heard the scream of Maybel screaming and shouting Tanko's name, they came to the door, they came to the house, they came to the gate, I would assume, and they were like, "What's up? We heard Maybel screaming. What's going on?" And Tanko was the one who answered, and he told them, "Oh yeah, she was screaming, she was calling me because she saw a big rat, a big cockroach." And they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it makes sense." And as old as she is, she did fear rat and cockroach, and that was how they left. When the coast became clear and the silence became deafening, Tanko packed his belongings and then went back into the house to steal some personal items that belonged to Miss Maybel. It was reported that he took at least 3 mobile phones, clothes, and other personal belongings. He also threw the knife away and then turned on the air conditioner and left Maybel's body where she fell to her death, before taking a 9 bus back to Jalingo in Taraba State. Obviously, him turning on the air conditioner was not for anything other than the fact to reduce her body from decaying fast enough. So, which I think that does kind of help. With the air condition there, it would have taken more than a week before people will start perceiving, or the electricity have to go off. But if it's a place where there is constant light and constant electricity, the AC is going to cool the room to the point that it will reduce decomposition. And if it was consistent enough, it's just like putting her in a mortuary for what it's worth. It will most likely take a week or 2 weeks before anyone could perceive anything. That was a deliberate, smart plan on his own part for a 22-year-old boy, which clearly shows that it may not have been his first time doing it for him to think about leaving the AC on. It was not his first time doing it. He knows what he was doing. Is it that he has done it before or had been involved with people who have done this kind of thing? But for Maybel, it did not take a week. Rather than people waiting to perceive a bad odor, she was somebody who had a community. As a woman in her 50s, she had a business and she had church. And when people at work could not get to her, when people at church were trying to call and she wasn't picking, they knew something was up. For about 2 days, nobody inside the estate realized that Maybel had been killed. The gates to the compound remained closed and neighbors just assumed she had traveled. The concern only started when friends at work and church members started noticing that she was not taking calls and she had not been seen by anyone. On the 19th of August 2016, some of her church members and work people went to her house to check on her. When they arrived, they had to force their way into the compound and look through the windows when they saw her body laying on the floor. And that was when they knew that, yeah, something was up and Maybel had not traveled. They immediately called the police, and when the police arrived, they forced the door open to see the scene. A cold room with the air condition on and a woman laying dead in her pool of blood with multiple stab injuries on her stomach. Clearly, this was a crime scene and the investigation started almost immediately. They first of all noticed that some of her personal belongings, including her mobile phones, were missing. They moved her body to the mortuary and began finding out who lived with her around this period of time, and tenants and neighbors could easily point fingers at Tanko. That Tanko, the security man, was the last person who she hired, and if they are being honest, he too also disappeared, because why is he not at the gate? Where is it? It's just an obvious thing. Where is the gate man that she hired? How come there's a dead woman in the house and the gate man she hired is nowhere to be found? And that was how quickly Tanko became the prime suspect. And through the mobile phones that they believed he stole, they began tracking him to his state in Taraba. The police spent so much time. I think that some of the detectives went from Lagos to Taraba State, where they were there monitoring and surveying Tanko to see the best way they could catch him. They had to catch his sister first. And this was on a Saturday, the 27th of August, 10 days after he had done what he did. When they held the sister said, say no more. Let me show you where Tanko is. Let me show you where Tanko is. I mean, I'm not the one who did this. Don't worry. If it's Tanko you guys are looking for, I know where you guys... Come with me. Let me show you where my brother is. Lock him up. And that was how the sister... I think they traced the mobile phone to the sister. It could have been that Tanko gave the sister the phone, but I doubt, I don't know if that was how the sister was caught, because I don't know how they would know the sister. But the moment they caught the sister, Tanko's time was up. After Tanko was arrested, some of the phones and belongings that belonged to Maybel were recovered from him, and the police immediately transported his black ass back to Lagos for interrogation. During questioning at the State Criminal Investigation Department in Yaba, Tanko admitted that he stabbed his employer. Although at different times he gave different explanations as to why he did it. Now, in one account, Tanko claimed that the reason why he did it was because he wasn't happy with the salary, the 18,000 naira that we discussed, which we talked about when we started the story, that 18,000 naira may have seemed a little small, even for 2016. Maybe if it was 2008, 2010, or 2009, maybe 18K would have been of the time, I guess. But in 2016, I know the economy was not conducive, because that was when coppers were earning 18K too. So I guess maybe it felt a type of way for a security man. I don't know, I guess. But I wouldn't also blame Maybel, because Tanko is a 22-year-old boy. What do you want to pay him? 50K? Nah. 18K made sense for a start, in my opinion. So in this interrogation, Tanko is here telling the police that he had a disagreement with the woman because of the salary, and that's why he did what he did. For somebody who has not even worked up to a month, he didn't even work long enough to get paid. So it wasn't about the salary. If for some reason he had been working there for like a year, and every year is asking her to increase the salary and she refuses, I can see a motive there. But this particular one is not a motive, my dear. It looked like regardless of how much Maybel paid him, even if Maybel paid him 2 million naira a month, he would have still done what he did. And that was one of his arguments. In another statement he made, he claimed that he did not understand why he attacked her. He claimed that he was moved by the devil, that the spirit just took over him. That he was outside doing a show with the knife, cutting and weeding or something, when he heard his name to come to the parlor. He came to the parlor to see the woman. The woman is giving him instruction about the flowers. And that was when he did his mathematics. He's like, oh my God, there's a knife on my hand and I'm in the house now. Just do it. And that was how he felt like some spirits took over his body to do it. In his word, he claimed it was a strange, evil force. He even took the police to the place where he threw the knife, that is the murder weapon. Personally, when people claim it was some kind of evil force, when you're done killing him, where did the spirit go to? Was it the same spirit that led you to steal the phones and her belongings? Was it the same spirit that led you to lie to the neighbor? Like, the things you did after the killing is what proves that you were your own evil force. You were the evil force that led you to do what you did, Mr. Tanko. There was no spirit from anywhere. This is not Nollywood. You did what you did by yourself. You don't need an evil force to take over you. You can do bad all by yourself. Abdul Natif. After the investigation stage, police charged Tanko with murder and armed robbery. The case was taken to the Lagos State High Court. Prosecutors presented evidence, including his confession. Court proceedings began in October 2016. And although the case had a lot of delays, as of 2022, we are made to understand that the case is still ongoing. It's unclear if a sentence has been handed over to him. And this could be as a result of Maybel's family not being in agreement. You see, after Maybel's death, disagreement reportedly emerged among some of her family members about her property and burial arrangements. Relatives traveled to Lagos after the news of her death became public, and discussions began on how her properties, businesses, and interests would be handled. Maybel was a big businesswoman into dollar exchange, so she knows that the family knows she's most likely the richest in the family, so they know she is loaded. And I think the fact that she left so much wealth behind was what would have made her family members and relatives butt heads over the management of her estate. This is why I guess maybe she didn't have kids or wasn't married or so, because if she did, it would be easy for her to just transfer those rights to her next of kin. But now that those weren't there, or we don't know it was there, family members are going to want to drag and claim and act like they are more qualified to run her properties. And this would literally cause disputes amongst family members. So bad that other family members are arresting other family members because of her properties. So I guess that is why the case was taking so long. All through 2016, even up until now, we've still not heard if he had been sentenced. Because the family are busy fighting about the VGC estate and the property and the businesses. I guess that's what it looks like. Imagine she was brutally murdered in 2016, but she was buried in 2022. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. 7 years later, this woman's body laid in the mortuary. It's not as though they didn't have money. It's not as though they didn't have resources. It's not as though they needed her body to be investigated to determine what caused her death. There was nothing keeping her body there for that long. It took 7 years for the family to finally agree on how and when to bury her. Wow, 7 years. It's giving Mohbad, it's giving Evita Peron. Like, why did it take that long? It's just so confusing. This is why when you start doing well at a point, it's good to just have your wealth and your will listed out. I think for a 50-year-old woman, she should have had all of those things. She's a woman of a certain age and a certain level of success. So I would assume she would have had it in place. I guess since she didn't have it, what caused the delay. As of now, we don't know what Abdul Latif situation is, but I don't see him getting out of this. So I'm sure he's probably going to be sentenced, or maybe they've even sentenced him. We don't even know the update. It's just unfortunate. What an annoying, painful story. You know, the woman have it all, just the amount of stories we've done where security men and housekeepers or domestic staffs are the ones committing the crime, it's just too paramount. I feel like it's important that we just pay attention to these things. Pay attention to your security people, or your house girl, or your housekeeper, your domestic staff. Pay attention to them. Really do, because these people, they have the key, and some of them have no moral obligation to care for you because they don't know you.